Hello everyone. Welcome to Fishing 24/7, the Surviving Life series. So I recorded yesterday and I have to delete it and do it again today because yesterday I was a little emotion. So that's why it didn't turn out the way I really wanted. So I'm going to do it again today. I feel better today. All right, let's start it from the beginning. The journey of my life, my family's life. It's 1975. If you know the Vietnam War, you know April 30th, 1975 was the fall of Saigon. The last day that the last American serviceman left the country. The very famous picture was on the helicopter, was on the rooftop of the U.S. Embassy in Saigon. Took off, and you saw the line of people line up to be evacuated from the rooftop to the aircraft carrier, stay outside in Saigon. My father told me that his American friend, pilot, can take my family to the carrier, just like my dad, my mom, my brother, my sister, 5 of us, to the aircraft carrier to evacuate. But my father refused to because he wanted his whole family, his parents, siblings, everyone go. But at the time, it was chaos. So there was no time to evacuate all of my family. So my father decided to stay. So the journey began in the central Vietnam. And we all running south all the way towards Saigon. I was only not even 4 years old, right? I was born in May 1971, and the fall of Saigon in April 1975. So I wasn't even 4 years old. The amazing thing is I forgot about everything. I mean, when I was 5, 6 years old, I forgot like most of everything. My memory never gone back that far. However, I remember every moment when we ran from the central all the way to Saigon. I remember we traveled by car, we traveled by boat, cross river all the way down to Saigon, and we stay in the outside of Saigon. We got Thủ Đức, and we stay there, and just try to stay away from the communists. They are running over all the defense of South Vietnam. So a lot of Vietnam defense is very weak. They overrun because when American left, no more support for the South Vietnam. And the North Vietnam got support from the Soviet Union, from the China. So they have everything. They have the power, they have the equipment, they have everything. So the South Vietnam cannot protect the country anymore. So everybody running south. I was only 4, and I remember all those chaos. It's always stuck in my memory, never forgot. So we running south, we stay there. And then when the communist government, the new government took over the South Vietnam, they ordered my dad to turn himself in, because he worked for the South Vietnam and also for American. So my father turned himself in, and they told my dad that he have to go to, they call it a re-education camp. All right, it's just a fancy word they use, but it actually is a hard labor camp. So they told my dad that he just go there for a few months, and then he can return home. However, that few months become years and years and years, and my dad never knew when he could be home, and my family at home never know when he going to return home. It was a difficult time for my family because my dad was in jail. My mom was very young, and she had 3 children to take care of. She didn't even work before. She was just a stay-home mom taking care of 3 kids. So my grandparents asked us from the near Saigon to return home in central Vietnam. So we returned home. So now my mom had to do everything to survive, to take care of her children. I remember my mom, she had to go far away. Usually get on the train, go far away. She bought all the chicken far away for a cheap price, came home, prep the chicken, and sell it to the restaurant to have a little profit so she can raise her family. She told me a story that most of the time when the train returned near our home, instead of going to all the train station, the destination, she jumped the train, because if she wait until the destination, she had to take another transportation to take her home. It costs more money. So what she did, she threw all the chicken down out of the train, and she jumped the train to save just some money. Yep, that's very tough for us at that time. In the meanwhile, they sent 2 soldiers to our house. 2 soldiers, they stay in our family home so they can control how we doing. They want to make sure that we're not doing anything to damage or hurt the new government. So that 2 soldiers stay in our homes for a while. Why my dad was in the labor camp, I didn't even miss him much, because I didn't even know when he went to jail. I didn't even imagine how my dad was look like. I was pretty young, so I didn't even remember much about my dad. So I wasn't even missing my dad at all, because there's no connection at all between me and my dad. Once in a while, my mom tell me and my brother and sister about my dad. He was in jail, and we were. I was a kid. I was a kid. I didn't know much. Once in a while, I ask my mom, "Hey, mom, when dad's going to be home?" My mom never have an answer for me. She always say, "Yeah, maybe someday." That's all my mom can tell me. And lives move on. And then I think 2 years later, in 1977, another unfortunate thing happened in my family. My brother, my older brother, he got sick and he passed away. It was devastating for my mom. My dad didn't know. My mom didn't tell my dad, because she knew if she told my dad, he couldn't handle it. So she tried to hide it from my dad. My brother used to write letter to my dad when he was in the labor camp. And then for a year or a couple years, there's no letter. So my dad got suspicious and asked my mom. And my mom just, make excuses and say, oh, he studied, he do this and do that. He couldn't write letter. And later on, a few years later, my mom was able to sell everything in the house and bought a few things for my dad to visit him. That's the first time and the only time. Because from central Vietnam, you travel to North Vietnam all the way near China. It's just a long way. And mom had to take a train, go all the way up there. 3 days and 3 nights, go up there. That's when my mom told my dad about my brother and also my grandma, his mom. I think a year after that, 1978, my grandma passed away too. So when my dad heard the sad news, it was devastating for him. So, let's move on. I don't know much. I don't remember much about my dad. But one thing is always, even now, that's one thing I always wish I had a relationship with my older brother. The thing is, I could remember running away from the communists in 1975. But I did not remember anything about my brother. Sometimes I wish I have a relationship with him, have any memory with him. But I dig down very deep for all this year to try to remember if I have anything at all, any memory at all with my older brother. And I could not remember anything. One thing that I always, not disappointed, but always sad, that I did not have any memory with my brother. The only thing I know my brother, all the picture that we took for him. That's it. That's how I know my brother. I remember what he looked like. So I remember I was in 4th or 5th grade. I don't remember exactly. So I was in the classroom, and then my friend, he ran to my class, disrupt the class, and told me, "Hey, Thuy, your dad is home. Your dad is home." So I wasn't really happy or excited at all. I just the teacher told me go home, so I ran home with my friend, and then I looked at my dad. He was a strange man, because that's the first time I look at his face. I didn't even recognize, because I was too young when he gone, and when he came back, it's like 8 years later, more than 8 years later, and from 4 years old until 12 years old, I never met him from during that time. So I have no memory at all of him. So I ran home. I didn't know. I did not remember what I do. Hug him or look at him or anything. I actually did not remember at all. So in the afternoon, I was working on a knife. I remember very clearly. There's an aluminum piece that I tried to make a knife. It's not a knife, like a saw, right? Kids in Vietnam, we have nothing to do. We have to make things. We have to make knives, saw, or something. and play with friends. So I remember I was sharpening the aluminum on the piece of stone, and my dad came out. He took my saw away, and he told me it wasn't for kids. And that's the first time I got scared of my dad. Um, and I always got scared of my dad since then. I did not have a relationship with my dad at all. With my mom, yes, but not with my dad, because he always showed the toughness, the discipline. He showed it to me. So I got really, really scared of my dad. Let's go back a little. So I think in 1977, that's when the communists came to my house. When my dad was still in the labor camp, they came to my house and they told my family we had to go to a jungle. They call it a new economic zone. It's just a jungle. They force all the people, the family that work for the South Vietnam, the American, they force them into that jungle and you live there. So during that time, I was sick. I remember I had chickenpox. So I was sick, I couldn't go. So I stayed back with my sister, my cousin, and my grandmother. And the rest of my mom's family, my grandpa, my uncle, my aunt, my mom, they forced us to the jungle. I still remember the two army truck came to my house, and we had to put everything into that truck, all the belonging and everything, and they took my family to the jungle, very far away from where we live. When I say the jungle, it's literally nothing in there. I didn't know anything until a few years later. When my dad came home, I think it's 1982. That's when my dad was released from the camp, and then my dad went up there. They ordered my dad went up there to stay there because we cannot stay in the city. So, I tried to speed up the story a little. What the most important, the story I like to tell you is the time we in the jungle, and then the time we have a freedom to go to America, how we survive in America, how I survive with the racism, how I survive with the school, with my marriage, raising my kids. That's I mainly want to talk about. So it's a long story. I'm glad that I'm very calm to tell you the story. It wasn't like yesterday. So I have to delete everything and do it again today. So I want to end the story today. It's 20 minutes already. So I want to end the story today. Maybe some of you still wonder why I want to tell this story. There are so many Vietnamese people. After 1975, so many people escaped the country, mostly by boat. A lot of people die at sea because of boat people. So a lot of us die at sea. Lots of boat got the pirate, the Thailand pirate. They kill a lot of boat people. Like they kill the husband, the man. They rape a woman, and so many kids die because of thirsty, because of hungry, because of the boat sunk into the bottom of the ocean. We don't have a number, but there are many, over 10,000 people die at sea. A lot of people came here with a sad story, bad memory. And most of them, they bury those memories. They don't want to think about it. They don't want to remember. They want to bury, and they want to start a new life in this new country. And most of them struggle with the memory. Most of them want to tell the memory, but they don't know how. They never told their children. So the reason I want to tell my journey, to tell my struggle, my family struggle, so my children understand where I'm coming from, where my family coming from. Young generation now, they are very spoiled. They take things for granted. So my story, I think a lot of people, you out there working hard. You want to give your children a good education, a better life. I don't have money. I don't have anything for my children except my story, my family story, the struggle that we have had from Vietnam to America, how we struggle with so many things, racism. We have to work hard to make ends meet. My children don't know that. So that's what I thought 23 years ago. When I had my daughter, I say that's what I want to leave for my daughter. It's my story. So someday she will watch this video, she understand, and she will appreciate everything she have in life. One thing I like to ask any of you out there, if you have a story to tell, you have a story to want to tell your children, you have a story to tell the world, I welcome you. You can get in touch with me. We can do story. We can tell story together. All right. So just let me know. I love to hear your story too. Maybe not the same as my story, but everyone, each and every one of us, we have a background. We have a story to tell. The struggle that we have in life. It doesn't matter if you are Vietnamese, Chinese, Korean, Latino, black or white. We all have story to tell. The last thing I want to say is I really appreciate a lot of you leave me a comment. Okay? Leave me a comment for the last video. Some of you take a lot of time to write me a long comments. I really appreciate all of that. Usually I'm very good with love reading all the comments. And usually I love to respond to every comments that you write to me. All right. But the last video, it was very difficult for me. I have a lot of emotion when I read your comments. I really appreciate that you write for me to encourage me to do the story. But it took a lot out of me. If I write all these comments, I mean respond to you. When I'm ready, I will return. I will respond to every of your comments. You write it to me. All right. But right now I'm not ready. I've been thinking a lot about your comments. I read it over and over a few times. All right. But I cannot respond right now. But I love you to write me a comment. Okay. I'm not worried about bad comments or people criticize me. I'm at the point in my life I'm not worried all about that. A good comment give me motivation. A bad comment, when you criticize me, that's the opportunity for me to learn. All right. All I want to say is, please appreciate every little thing in life. That's what I've learned lately. Appreciate every little thing in life. It will make you happy. All right? You stay safe, you stay healthy, and remember, go do whatever you love and enjoy doing. And please do it today. Do not wait for tomorrow, because sometimes we don't have time for tomorrow. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.